So today we're going to be checking out the Valerion Vision Master Max review. Now just some quick highlights on this projector. So black levels. These Valerion projectors have surprisingly incredibly good black levels that you typically don't find on long throw projectors that cost much more. So the black level performance, which is enabled by EBL combined with the iris, you get a 50,001 contrast ratio. And I won't cover it in this video because you've already seen it probably a million times in other videos, but the anti-rainbow effect. So the anti-rainbow effect feature helps reduce eye fatigue for viewers who are sensitive to RVE doing long viewing sessions. So if you're somebody that is sensitive to it, you notice it, there is a feature on here that you can change and it should not be an issue for you. And then finally, for installation flexibility, it includes a plus, minus 105% offset lens shift, and the optional external lens, which you can also get from Valerion, makes the setup just much easier. Now you guys have probably seen 1,000 videos by now talking about the specs, talking about how awesome this projector is, so I'm just going to bypass all the fluff and I'm going to get directly into the review, starting with some Tron content. But I will say that I do love these lifestyle projectors from Valerion. They're just amazing for the compact size that they are and what they offer. So if we look at Tron, we see that the theater profile is clearly the most faithful to the Tron aesthetic. And as you move towards standard and vivid, there is a noticeable cool white point shift, which increases blue levels. And this makes the deep reds look more magenta or orange, which deviates from the director's color grade. While vivid is the most saturated in terms of intensity, it loses the nuance of the red on black color palette. Now the theater profile uses saturation effectively to make the light sources feel like they're actually emitting heat and energy, whereas the other profiles look more like digital tints applied over the image. When we look at contrast in this clip, the theater profile provides the best perceived contrast by keeping the black levels deep without sacrificing the detail of the floor reflections. Filmmaker appears slightly washed out in this specific comparison, lacking the punch required for this high dynamic range content. Vivid and standard use dynamic contrast processing, which makes the bright lights brighter but often crushes the dark areas into pure black, hiding the intricate mechanical details in the background. Moving on to Mario Brothers, we shift from high contrast neon to a bright outdoor scene with a vast crowd. Theater profile uses saturation to convey a sense of time and place, which is likely sunset or a warm afternoon, and the standard and vivid profiles kind of lose this feeling by oversaturating the blue channels, making a warm scene look unnaturally cold. In the vivid profile, the saturation is, in my eyes, so aggressive that the individual colors of the crowd start to bleed together, which reduces the clarity of the image. And then the Filmmaker profile is the most conservative with saturation, which can sometimes make animated or highly stylized scenes look a bit dull compared to the intended theater look. Moving on to the HDR torture test with Alpha, we see a sunset scene with 2 people in heavy coats. And this scene is an excellent test of how different profiles manage HDR elements like direct sunlight and backlit textures. With specular highlights, the theater profile does the best job of making the sun feel hot and powerful without losing the gradient of the surrounding clouds. But in the vivid profile, that gradient disappears into a solid white block. The theater profile achieves depth through color transition, whereas the standard and vivid profiles try to achieve it by simply making the darks darker. However, this results in the loss of the intricate textures on the character's parkas. And if we look at the scene from an atmospheric perspective, the light haze in the background is preserved beautifully in the theater and filmmaker profiles, which gives the scene a sense of scale. However, in the vivid profile, this haze is largely stripped away by the aggressive contrast. In this next scene, we see the theater profile is the most accurate, showing the fire with the rich warmth that casts a natural golden red glow across the faces, and the skin tones look organic and reflect the flickering light source correctly. If you look at the filmmaker profile, the fire appears undersaturated, looking more orange-yellow than red, which makes the illumination of the faces feel kind of cold and lacks the lifelike vibrance of the theater profile. With a standard profile, the fire saturation shifts towards a magenta or pinkish tint, and this causes the subject's faces to look unnaturally flushed or sunburned rather than lit by a campfire. And with a vivid profile, the fire is oversaturated to the point of blooming where the light loses its shape. The skin tones are heavily distorted by a blue heavy color balance, which makes the faces look pale and digital despite the warm light source. So the theater profile maintains the intended warmth and color depth of each scene, from the deep reds of the Tron Ares environment to the golden hour glow of the campfire and sunset. And by contrast, the standard and vivid profiles introduce an artificial blue cool tint that distorts skin tones and shifts vibrant reds towards magenta or orange. When we look at contrast and black levels, the theater profile provides the best balance of punch and detail, keeping black levels deep without crushing shadow information. Vivid and standard profiles tend to overprocess contrast, which results in the loss of fine textures in clothing and background machinery. While the filmmaker profile is safe and prevents clipping, it often results in a flat or dim image that lacks the energetic brightness of the original source. The theater profile manages to keep highlights like direct sunlight and fire bright and impactful while still preserving the surrounding gradients and details. And the vivid profile is the least accurate across all categories, prioritizing aggressive brightness and saturation that leads to blooming and a significant loss of image integrity. So conclusion, after viewing all these profiles with various different types of content, for viewers seeking the director's intended vision, I'd have to say the theater profile provides the most authentic representation of color temperature, shadow detail, and light source realism across both high-key outdoor and low-key indoor scenes. So again, I love this projector. I'm sure if you get this thing calibrated, it'll do even better. Everything that I viewed on this projector was straight out of the box. I only made a couple adjustments by turning down the sharpness, but everything else I left completely the same. So again, these are my thoughts. I know you guys have seen 1,000 videos of these Valerion projectors, so I just wanted to do something that was really quick, but at the same time kind of in depth. So let me know what you guys think about the Valerion Vision Master Max. If you have it, do you agree with my thoughts? Let me know down in the comments. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.